This is the view when we step out of our van. And we're off. So we were parked for 2.5 days in a small town called Wassersleben, and that is actually very close to the border. So in about 5 minutes we should be in Denmark, depending on the road we're taking, by the way. And we are driving all the way up north to an island called Fur. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. And yeah, I'm very excited to see the country. I haven't seen any of Denmark yet. I think it will be a couple of hours drive, 300 kilometers, and then we should be in the north of Denmark. Alright, here we are. We are now in Denmark. It was literally less than a minute, so we could have walked here. Okay, that was funny. The first two things that we saw were two sex shops. So we passed the border, they checked our van, or basically our passports only, and the first two buildings, left and right, were sex shops. I'm not sure what they were actually, but yeah. And then two gas stations, and then I think it's now just plain fields and trees. That was quite funny. Okay, so yesterday we bought a flexible hose to fill up our water tank, and we stopped at a camper spot, like a parking spot next to a freeway, and we were going to fill up our water tank, and we dropped €1 coin into the machine and wanted to fill up the tank, but the hose didn't fit properly, so that was a bit of an issue. We managed to screw it on, but it wasn't really made for that connector. And then it said it would deliver us 100 liter, but it already stopped after around 25. So we didn't really have a lot of water for €1, which is actually quite expensive for just tap water. We were happy to pay that if it was 100 liters, by the way, but it wasn't a lot at all. So it was time to fill up the water tank again, because, well, 20-25 liters doesn't really last you that long. So we're now in Denmark on our way up north, and I think we're around 70 kilometers in or something, and we stopped at the freeway here, and well, it is actually very luxurious. So here in Denmark, or at least at this freeway stop, there's a free water pump, and it does connect properly there to our hose. So all we need to do is press the button and wait for the water to come through, and we just filled up our tank in under 5 minutes, and that was completely free. So here you see the difference between Germany and Denmark, or at least at this stop. In Germany you have to pay €1 at each camp spot that we found, and it's not always clean and it's not always easy, and the connectors didn't always fit, but here it was perfect. So we'll see how the rest of Denmark is, and at least we have enough of water for at least 4 days right now, so we're happy about that. If we see someone else approaching, I think we have to drive all the way backwards. So far we haven't seen any other car, so it should be alright. After driving around most of the island, we finally found a parking lot. We basically drove towards a campsite and wanted to drive further, but there was just one road and there was just a couple of houses, and that was everything. There was also no way to turn around or anything, so we finally found a parking lot, and we're just going to decide where we're going to go and let the dogs out for a wee. as well. But I will show you around as well because the views are great here. So this is the view when we step out of our van. Isn't that amazing? It's now the next morning and we slept well. Jordi didn't sleep that well actually because he had a very bad headache. But other than that, it was a nice temperature and yeah, it was a lovely view in the morning as well. We're now driving again to find a different spot on the island, but the roads here are so difficult. Every time we think we have to take a left or take a right, it says that either it's a private road or that it's a road that has an end. So yeah, we don't really know where we have to go. We have arrived at a parking lot, finally. There she is. So we're just following a hiking path and just stepped off to go on the beach. It's lovely. I think we could find many fossils here as there are so many old rocks and stones and quite a few shells. Going to have to take a look, but we can't take anything along, of course. It's really lovely here. Been walking along the coastline the entire time, and these are all cliffs, so we're actually just a few meters from the water, but up high. Also, what do you think of my outfit? I'm wearing a dress, the only pair of shoes that I own, and some Socksmith hiking socks. Love those. I should really get a pair of hiking boots. The ones that I had were completely worn down, so I disposed of them before we left. So it is time to find a new pair, but we're not sure what type we will buy because when it comes to clothing, we have refrained from buying leather for a while because we wanted to go in the vegan direction. But all other options that are out there are completely made of Gore-Tex, which is of course plastic. So it is difficult to find something, difficult to choose actually. So I'm not sure whether or not we're going with leather to take off that plastic, or whether to go with Gore-Tex and keep it vegan. It's quite difficult because as you walk and the shoes wear down, it's obviously a lot of microplastics, and we wear those shoes in nature, so it's directly where it shouldn't be. Yeah, it's a difficult thing. So we just went to a small supermarket, and on the outside it looked quite small, but when we went in it was actually much bigger than we had imagined. So the entire island is quite small, but with those difficult roads it still takes a while to reach the supermarket. But at least there was one. And here is what we found. So we still had a bit of cucumber, 2 tomatoes and 2 bananas. And this is what we bought. 4 bananas, some chili peppers, then we have purple bell pepper, looks lovely, pears, some garlic in glass because we always have garlic powder or fresh garlic, but we can't find anything without packaging, plastic packaging, and that's the same in both Germany and Denmark so far, so that's why I went with a glass jar. And then we have some couscous. All in all, that was €8.65. We just got given this map for the island and are now on our way to number 10 and number 9. Number 10 should be the highest point of the island, and at number 9 there's a clay rock, and at this site there's a lot of digging for that clay, and we are actually allowed to search for fossils. So we're on our way here and we'll see how it looks and what we can find. So where we're going now, you can actually see how the landscape has been formed due to the ice melting, due to the ice melting at the end of the ice age. So we're very interested to see that, and we're still along the coast here. It's very beautiful. The landscape there is beautiful as well. It has quite a lot of hills. Lovely to see. And the advantage of being quite north is that it's light out until very late. So yesterday we went to sleep at around 11 o'clock and it was still quite bright. During the night at 2 we woke up and it was dark, but it was light very early as well again. So that's lovely. Means that we can also enjoy the cool times of the day. We have arrived at the area where once melting water streamed from the glaciers. One thing we have noticed though about this island is the ticks. It's crazy. We just gave both dogs a full body check and I just wiped 3 off of Mojo that were still unattached, and she already has a new one here. So we'll do another full check when we're back, not just on them but on us as well. It's now the next morning, and from the parking lot where we stood yesterday as well, we are now on our way to something called the Red Rock, and you will see why in a minute. This rock has a particular color due to its high iron content in combination with the salt water. So the exterior has corroded and has formed rust. So that's why it has a particular color and why it has this name. I think there are a few of these red rocks around here, but this particular one is called the Red Rock. And there it is. Here are 2 jellyfish that washed up on the shore. I'm not sure. Oh, here there's another. They should be dead, right? I mean, they're upside down as well. And yeah. Beautiful creature though. Not sure what's going on here, but in like 10 meters we found 9 jellyfish, and some of them are more yellow than others that are more pink, so I think they should be dead and actually are decomposing. There's one here, of which I'm not sure what it's doing. It seems, yeah, it's still moving. It seems to be trying, but not able to get back. So we have now just left our parking lot and driven up a bit further to the next parking lot, and we have found another one of those rocks, but because it's not near seawater you can't see the rust. You can see it along the edge here if you walk there, but this is still just grey black. We are now back at a spot where we were yesterday. There are 2 digging sites here. One is all the way up there and one is behind us, and there's this rock in which you can see sedimentation, and you can actually see layers of ash from volcanoes in the UK and Greenland. I'll show you that up close when we get there. And afterwards we will look for some fossils behind us, as it's actually allowed to look for them and I think take them along as well. So here you can see all of these layers and layers of ash and rock. Looks amazing to see that like this. Here's our little home parked up. We're now walking across that street and we'll start to look for some fossils, and it should be very easy to find them there, as these sites are dug a lot, so every single time they dig there are more stones and small rocks coming up, and the chances of finding fossils are quite high. This material is surprisingly light. This is a massive rock, but you can easily just twist it around. It's so funny, it's like a sponge-like texture. And you can see what they make of this type of rock. It's a bright orange type of brick. I'm not sure whether they will still use this because it looks left here and the size of the pieces are odd. But this material is very light, and when they make bricks out of it that look like that, they're actually used in housing and they insulate very well, and it can even float on water, but it does take up water eventually. So yeah, that's what they use it for. We are now driving back south. We've actually seen most of the island already. It just goes to show how small this island is. I'm not sure when I last filmed, but we are now off the island, so off Four. We are now in a town called Skive, and that is just under the island of Four, and are currently on our way towards Göteborg in Sweden, which means that we have to drive to the northeast. And we are now first stopping off at a nature reserve called Old Skov, which is around 80 kilometers from Skive. So we should be there in an hour or so, a little over an hour. So we had seen most of the things on the island of Four, so we thought it would be time to drive closer to Sweden, and we hope to take the boat to Sweden tomorrow night, and at 10:30 that should be a relatively cheap option, so we'll take that. We'll just figure out how it goes with the dogs and stuff, because we probably have to pay for them as well. So we'll now drive up to the nature area, and then we will call the people at the ferry and see if they can help us, and then we'll book those tickets, and we should be off to Göteborg tomorrow evening, or perhaps later, it depends on what we can get, but yeah, that's the plan for now.